What really goes into a brand deal negotiation, and how can we make sure as creators that we are not leaving money on the table while still maintaining a happy relationship with the brand themselves? Let's get into it. I see a lot of skits out there that portray brand deal negotiations as this sort of standoff. Them constantly asking you, what is your rate? And the influencers just responding, what's your budget? With nobody really wanting to pull the trigger first at the risk of being shortchanged. But if that's how your brand interactions are actually going, you're not going to end up with what you want. And you don't really come across as the most professional. In fact, the only time I think you need to ask a brand what their budget is when you presented a number and they've said no to it and you want to figure out where they're at so you can try to meet them, or when they've left things really open-ended and they want you to come up with a bunch of deliverables for them and you need to know what budget you're working in. Because if you're really clear on what a partnership entails, their budget is kind of irrelevant. So there are actually 4 things that you need to know in order to handle your brand deal negotiations like a pro. And you actually need to know them right off the bat, before you even start negotiating. And they are the scope of work, the terms of your agreement, the value you bring to the table, and your get out of bed number. We'll go through each one and cover how they show up in the negotiation game. Before you start putting numbers forward, it is so important to know the scope of the work that's being asked of you. What you're really trying to figure out here is how much work is going to be needed and what kind of time investment. So you'll need to know things like the deliverables, how many platforms you're going to be posting on, what's the timeline, as well as what the concept is. Because if a brand asks for a 3-slide story set, that might seem really easy on paper, but what if each one of those slides is a mini reel in itself? That's a lot more work. Or if a brand wants you to do more of a talking head style video, that might be a lot easier than filming an entire wash day and waiting for it to dry, which, if you're not familiar, is a multi-day event. And once you've taken all of this into account and presented your number, if a brand can't meet you there, reducing the scope of work by removing deliverables, posting on less platforms, expanding the timeline, are all things that can be done to get to a happy medium. You might say, okay, if your budget caps out at $1,000, I can do 1 reel and a story set for you instead of 2. Scope of work is also a really great place to try to upsell the brand. Myself, as a huge fan of the evergreen power of Pinterest and blogs, I love introducing brands to the idea of creating sponsored content for them. So regardless of what the brand is asking me, I often will counter with a couple different package options that include these extra platforms and present them as a great bundled deal. And this only works because I'm actively educating the brands on the power of these different platforms, and I'm positioning it as the actual value add that it is for them. Next, know the terms of your agreement partnership. Is the brand asking for exclusivity, meaning you can't work with their competitors for a certain length of time? Do they want usage rights to be able to use your content however they wish? These will all affect the number that you're putting forward in a negotiation, and again, can come in handy when it comes to finding a middle ground. At the end of this video, I will link you to one that covers all the contract terms you need to know, especially if you're handling everything yourself. But it's important to remember that all of these things are not just negotiable, but they're things that the brand should be paying extra for. Exclusivity, usage rights, and whitelisting can all respectively run 20% to 100% of your base rate per month. Find a calculation that works for you and stand by this in your negotiations. You can use them to leverage more money out of your partnership, and they can be slashed if the brand doesn't have a big enough budget. Know your value. This is very different in my mind from knowing your worth, which is a statement that I think is a little too self-centered for something like a brand partnership. Brand deals really do need to be mutually beneficial, and at the end of the day, a brand doesn't care how much you're worth unless they can see how your worth directly adds value to them. So you need to be able to articulate what it is that you uniquely bring to the table. For example, if a brand mid-negotiation negotiation throws in that
other creators with your same following charge way less than you do.
Well, first of all, I feel like that's a red flag and it's probably a brand I don't want to work with, but you need to be able to articulate why you are not other creators. Is it the high quality of your content that stands out and can be repurposed across all of their socials or maybe even their website? Is it your connection to a hyper-focused niche audience, an audience that a brand absolutely wants access to? Do you bring unique concepts and storytelling to the table that another creator just couldn't recreate? Again, if you have to justify yourself to a brand in this way, I personally don't think it's the best fit, but it is still important to be able to articulate your value so that you feel really confident in standing behind your rates. And finally, know your get out of bed number and propose something higher. I think it's really important as creators to have a minimum number that's just for us that we know we will not go any lower than. Because anything below that number is going to kind of be not worth your time. Your time is valuable. I've heard it called your get out of bed number before, where it's saying, this is the minimum that a brand has to pay me for me to even get out of bed and work for them. It's important to have this number in mind and go higher so that if the back and forth brings the number down a bit, you still won't go any lower than like your true minimum rate. If you're doing everything you can to try to come to a happy agreement, you've presented your number, they say they can't meet it, you propose to reduce deliverables or take out usage rights, and they still don't want to kind of dance that dance, do not be afraid to walk away. I can't count how many times that I have done that, and the brand has magically come back with a bigger budget. And the key to not being afraid of walking away is to truly be okay if they don't come back. And just remember that negotiating is truly part of the game. The brand knows this, you know this, there's no hard feelings as long as you are approaching it professionally, which everything in this video should help you do. If you're somebody who's still trying to figure out how to come up with the best rate for you, definitely recommend watching this next. Thanks for watching, and until next time.